Well, let's hope there's a few more celebrations like that in the second half. A few more than there were in the first 87 games of the year. It's the Cubs in for 4 against the Nationals. And here's the Chicago lineup, brought to you by Southwest.com. Alfonso Soriano hitting better lately, but when you look at his body of work for the season, it's been a bust. .233 batting average, 4 stolen bases in 11 attempts, and the Cubs are the second lowest hitting team with Arizona in the National League. Only San Diego hitting lower at .233, and John Lannon is 2-0 in his young career in a couple of starts against Chicago.
Well, this seems to be a team of power hitters that he likes to face, probably using his changeup an awful lot against.
Reed Johnson is the leadoff man, and he's hitting only .254. First pitch of the ball game is right in there, says Paul Emmel. We've got some cloud cover right now, but it's 92 in Washington, D.C.
Well, and Bob, one of the things that's keeping the Cubs in the race in the National League Central, their pitching is 4th. So their hitting is bad, but they have a combined .383 ERA and a fantastic bullpen that is #1 in fewest inherited runners scoring.
You don't want to be trailing these guys after 7 innings because you're looking at Carlos Marmol and then the former Florida Marlin Kevin Gray.
And you got some news today about the bullpen of the Cubs?
B.J. Ryan has been signed to a contract by the Cubs after Toronto cut bait and let him go. Reed Johnson with an on-base average of .321 lines it hard to right, and right there is Josh Willingham.
Let's break down John Lannon a little bit deeper than just he's been doing well against the Cubs. Fresh start, new skipper, second half of the season. Well, 5 of the last 7 outings by John Lannon, the Nationals have won, and he loves pitching at home. 3-0 with a 2.2 ERA in 9 games started. On the road, he's not so happy, 3-6, 5.51. So a better than 3 runs less here in D.C.
Maybe the Cubs' best hitter right now is Ryan Theriot. 8-game hitting streak, batting 1 point short of .300. And like Christian Guzman, he has 32 multi-hit games on the year. But it's amazing that the Cubs, with this payroll, with this talent, can be hitting .247.
Well, a lot of it has to do with the injury to Aramis Ramirez. Missing that huge hammer in the middle of the lineup has hurt them in a lot of different ways. They've moved Soriano down in the lineup. His on-base percentage is atrocious. He's not a leadoff type hitter. A lot of strikeouts. So they've had to make some moves.
Lannon goes right after him on 1 and 2, easy bouncer. You're going to see a lot of Alberto Gonzalez these days at second base. The Nats want to find out what they have in this young man. And the Nats defensively, they'd rather forget about the first half of the season and the 82 errors against only 77 double plays. So for now, it's Guzman and Gonzalez up the middle, and Niger Morgan's going to be fun to watch for the last 75 games this year. First pitch swinging, Milton Bradley, a fly ball to right. And the Cubs are going to go quickly in the top of the first against John Lannon. Offense coming against Rich Harden next. and by Land Rover, designed for the extraordinary. They're still coming down Half Street from the Navy Yard station, and from left field, a wonderful view of Nationals Park on Thursday, July 16th. Here we go. Nats are hitting .264 after that offensive series in Houston. Despite the shutout, their batting average up to .264, fourth in the league, and Josh Willingham a big reason. 11-game hitting streak. He's hit safely in 17 of his last 18 games. And for the Cubs, 37-year-old right-hander Rich Harden, 27, pardon me, and he is having not the kind of year the Cubs thought he would. He was a combined 10-2 between Oakland and Chicago last year. We know how talented he is, Rob, but for some reason now not pitching deep into games and not putting it together.
He is walking a lot more than last year when he came over for his 12 starts, and he has also given up 16 home runs in 14 starts this year. A lot of walks equals runs, but you give up those home runs and 3-run homers. He's got an ERA 5.5 right now.
Nyjer Morgan hitting .302 as a Nat. This will be his 12th ball game. And a little pop-up over to the right side. Derek Lee, a former Gold Glover, easy out.
All right, let's give you the PNC Bank scouting report. What a difference a year makes. As we said, last year 5-1 with a 1.77 ERA in 12 starts. This year 5-6 with a 5.4 ERA in 14 starts. And in those last 10 starts, this is what he's done: 49 innings, 26 walks, 11 home runs, 63 hits allowed. And he has only gone 7 innings twice in 14 starts.
And a good fastball to Nick Johnson.
He's got amazing stuff, but he's been kind of fragile over the course of his young career.
Back in May on the DL with a strain of his middle back. He's only been back for about 3 weeks.
Well, and that was the problem with him in Oakland too. 05 made 22 starts, 9 in 06, 7 in 07, and then made 25 last year.
Nick almost hit by that pitch. Nick Johnson with a 10-game hitting streak, 15 for his last 40. It has his average back up over 300, his on-base average well up over 400 again. And a 1-2 to Nick is drilled to right center, but the ball hanging up for Reed Johnson. You might remember Reed Johnson made one of the best plays we've ever seen in this ballpark in front of the bullpen on the warning track last year. Soriano and Bradley flank him, and Alfonso Soriano has 7 errors in left field. Ryan Terrios made 9 at short. Jeff Baker is a former Colorado Rocky. You know all about Aramis Ramirez and Derek Lee at the corners, and Coy Hill the catcher. Giovanni Soto on the DL with a strain of his left oblique. Here's Ryan Zimmerman's first at bat since returning from the All-Star game. And we're covering the bases with our young third baseman tonight.
Bob, the National League now has dropped 12 of the last 13.
Yeah, that was a tie.
And the other one was a tie, so they're 12-0-1 in the last 13 All-Star games.
How do you explain such a thing? Even if one league's better than the other, one of those teams has to run into a win somewhere along the line there. It's not like it's 10-2 every year. I mean, these are close ball games. But who would have thought Tim Lincecum was going to go out early and give up a couple of runs?
Well, I didn't feel good about him starting anyway. In big games, very young kids, I don't care how talented they are, they get hyped up.
Yeah.
Their heart rate goes up. They're really psyched, and he knows he's only out there for 2 or 3 innings maximum, maybe 2, and he was just overthrowing.
Yeah. Fastball missing. Low, 3-2 to Ryan, who's walked 37 times this year.
I mean, we go all the way back to Rick Ankiel with the Cardinals and what happened to him.
I was
young
there.
Kid starting in the playoffs. Just
worst thing I've ever seen.
Yep.
Good rip by Ryan. 10-year veteran Paul Emmel has the plate. Crew chief Gary Darling at first. And a couple of young umpires, DJ Rayburn and Mike Estabrook, second and third. Beautiful night in terms of comfort at the moment, with the cloud cover giving us all some relief here. 3-2. Zimmerman on a hard-breaking ball away, strikes out. Each pitcher with a 1-2-3 first out of the All-Star break.
We are covering the bases tonight with Ryan Zimmerman. He's definitely a guy in this clubhouse that the players really respect, and here's Willie Harris with more.
As a teammate, one of the best I've ever been around. Quiet leader, leads by example. He's not a real big hoorah guy, you know, but at the same time, he is probably one of the biggest leaders on this club, and, you know, like I said, he leads by example, and he's not a big talker.
And I think, too, laid back was another definition that a lot of the guys used to describe Ryan Zimmerman, but definitely very well liked in this clubhouse, Bob.
That he is, Debbie, and he will be around this clubhouse for a long, long time. Top of the second, Derek Lee drills it to right. Here comes Willingham, and Josh has caught 3 of the 4 balls hit by the Cubs already. Some of the right-handed batters are taking approaches to right field, and that ball was extremely well hit.
Well, and Josh Bard needs to take notice of that. Also, John Lannon. They're taking the changeups and fastballs he throws away and smacking them into right field. They may not be hitting that well, but this is a really, really good offensive team that can put a lot of runs on the board.
First pitch breaking ball high to Aramis Ramirez. Rob told you he's been hurt, a shoulder problem. He's only played 24 games this year, but he is 30 for 90. But it's a big bat they've been missing, who drove in 111 runs last year. The 4th time in 5 years he's driven in 100.
This is one of the best trades the Cubs have made in a long time, getting this guy years ago when he was eligible for arbitration from the Pirates. And he has been nothing but great offensively. And Derek Lee has helped his defense come up to where it should be, and now he's one of the better third basemen in the league.
You're right, because there were times with Pittsburgh when his defense was considered rather indifferent at third base. Better supporting cast always helps. He was traded with Kenny Lofton for 3 players back in July of '03, including Jose Hernandez and infielder Bobby Hill, who was very highly regarded at that time. Missed on 3-2 to John Lannon. And the one number that kind of jumps out at you from John Lannon's arsenal this year, 40 walks now and 50 strikeouts.
Northrop Grumman right here. Fastball down and outside.
And a few scattered boos for Alfonso Soriano. Probably Cub fans. He's been booed lately at Wrigley Field. This is not the kind of investment the Cubs thought they were making for 8 years at $136 million. A .233 batting average. 82 strikeouts. And mediocre defense in left field. The thing that upset me about watching Alfonso at the end of 06 was that I thought with our ball club, after he got to 40-40, he just shut it down. At this stage of his career, making lots of money, he's not nearly the base running threat he used to be. Breaking ball jammed him.
You see Ramirez not even off the base. Here's some Soriano numbers. I think Ricky Henderson's #1 with like 90 leadoff home runs. I'll check that.
He has 5 this year and had 5 last year.
90 leadoff home runs by Ricky Henderson, so he's doing quite well, but he's not a leadoff guy. I mean, he's got a .298 on base percentage this year, career .327, lifetime .280 hitter. But that's either like a 3 or a 5 hole or somewhere in between, not in the 4 hole, but he's a power guy that strikes out an awful lot, free swinger.
And last year for the Cubs, he did hit .280. 29 homers, 75 RBIs, and that was despite being on the DL 2 different times with a right wrist problem and a left hand problem.
Ricky Henderson, 81 leadoff home runs.
But there's Soriano with 2 strikes. You don't have to throw him one to get him out. Here's another thing that did not endear Soriano to Cub fans last year. In the division series when they were swept, he was 1 for 14.
Well, there you see a fastball high challenging him. Probably didn't expect it. Look at that 2-seam. Just bringing it 90. He was looking for a 75, 78 mile an hour changeup and didn't get it.
Next up is the second baseman, Jeff Baker, former 4th rounder with Colorado. And for the Cubs, he's 3 for 14 in 7 games. That pitch a little bit inside so far. Paul Lemel has a tight zone so far. Ten-year veteran has the plate tonight, 2-0. Out to short, should be an easy 2-hopper. Guzman to Gonzalez, no problem for John Lennon pitching around the walk to Ramirez. Adam Dunn coming right up. On center field, and here's why. Look at the setup out there for the Billy Joel Elton John concert that took place last Saturday. There they are in performance mode. Most of the infield was roped off, but it did take a little work in the outfield, and center field had to have some patchwork done. Some turf right out at the corner in front of the 402 mark actually had to be replaced. But right there they did some repair work. The curly W that's been mowed into the grass, not as obvious as it usually is, but we can still see it. And Stan Kasten says this ballpark will serve as a venue for other events of that magnitude as the opportunities come around. Everybody I've talked to who saw that concert just says it was a great venue, a great night, and except for one little power outage when somebody stepped on a plug and Billy Joel wasn't too happy about it.
Wow.
Things were okay. Adam Dunn on an 0-2 pitch made an offer. No swing, says Mike Estabrook down at third.
Now it's cheese at the knees, baby. 95 on the black.
This guy has a 5.47 ERA. Are you kidding? Dunn watches that one bounce.
That was a fork ball in the gut. Coy Hill. Nice stop. No, he has exceptional stuff. That's one of the reasons the Cubs traded for him.
And a 2-2. Adam Dunn. He doesn't do that very often where he expands his zone and strikes out on a pitch that is not in the strike zone. Nats fans, never been easier to take in a ball game. Long homestand. See for yourself at StubHub.com. Official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Nats. Cubs are here for 3 more. Our friends from DC 50 join us Sunday. The Mets come in. St. Louis for a makeup game. And then San Diego. We're going to be home for quite a while. And it sure feels good. Here's Josh Willingham hitting .340 now over his last 49 games. Trying to extend his hitting streak to 12 tonight. He has been excellent in the number 5 spot and better than average in right field. He's made every play required of him. Josh has put in some work out there to get those balls coming at him from different angles. But you sort of knew he would. This guy is a true pro. And a 1-1. Harden's got some good stuff going tonight. He struck out Ryan Zimmerman with a real good hard slider, ending the first. That's a breaking ball hit foul. No problem for Pat Listash.
Well, there's Rich Harden. He's on the first base side of the rubber. So if he throws sliders from the middle of the plate, they're going to go out towards the left-handed side. Tough on right-handers, tough on left-handers.
2-2.
And then if he throws sinkers, they're going to really come across down and in on the ankles of a right-handed hitter.
Willingham gets under that one out to center. Reed Johnson right about where Elton John's piano was for the second out.
Let's break down Harden on the Exmo one time. Great balance point. Very little going on, very quiet. See him break the hands, follow through, everything's coming towards home, does not throw across his body. Look at that stat.
He's kept them in their games lately.
Well, and those 10 games that I told you about too, with as bad as his statistics, the Cubs won 5 out of those 10. So they do have a team that can compensate for bad starts.
Guzman in the first half hit .286 on the road, but .325 here. Heading up to a .304 mark. From the left side of the plate, .298. And it's always unusual when a switch hitter hits better from the right side, where he gets fewer at bats. 228 at bats left-handed, only 84 right-handed. But his average a lot higher. That'll be a little flare out to left for Alfonso Soriano. He'll take that little hop when he makes the catch. Well, some things haven't changed, and we're scoreless through 2 with the Cubs.
he's the type of guy that you know, you can build your organization around, you know, in the middle of that lineup. And I think that was the way everybody felt with the, you know, the extension to the contract earlier this year.
Anchoring that third base side with Coy Hill stepping in here. I'm sure a million things are going through Jim Riggleman's mind right now. A lot of friends, a couple of brothers and family here at the ballpark tonight. Now, Rob, you were on a ball club of his for a short time.
About 6 weeks.
With the Cubs.
Yep.
Anything, any light you can shed on us about how different he might be from Manny Acta?
No, he's very similar to Manny. Maybe a little bit more proactive, hands-on, but both guys no-nonsense guys. I have a lot of respect for Manny Acta. The same with Jim Riggleman. It's just a question of getting these guys to play a little bit harder. And Manny wasn't able to do it, and hopefully Jim can do it.
Oh, my gosh.
Well,
Ryan Zimmerman launches another horrible throw. He was running toward first base, and he just launched it where Nick Johnson couldn't reach it, and a routine out becomes his 13th error of the year.
that was one thing I was going to say and touch upon, that one of the things that Jim is known for is tightening up defenses like he did in Seattle last year. And once again, this error bug bites the Nationals. That is just a horrible throw. Never gets set. Underhands it. Watch this. Just launches that. So you got to right yourself and mechanically fire the ball to first base. You can't take it for granted that that throw is going to be on line if your mechanics are off. But
you and I guess only Ryan could answer this, Rob. Is this now becoming a mental problem?
I hope that it's not, but you know, the thing is that you can't wait for defense. You can't have your defense giving up runs and making your pitchers work harder. I was just going to say, the one thing that hopefully Jim Riggleman can do, tighten up the defense, because you have such a young pitching staff. They need defense behind them in order to get confidence. And Ross Detweiler just got sent down. You brought back Garrett Mock, but if you don't shore up the defense, you're still going to have poorly pitched ball games, because they're going to try to be too fine. They're going to be pitching away from contact, saying, oh my God, they're going to make 3-4 errors every time I take them out. You got to do something about the defense.
Zimmerman on this one. When he has to hurry, he's right on time. That's a good throw to Gonzalez for the first out. Sacrifice good by Rich Harden. 5-4 if you're scoring.
Right here, he's anticipating the bunt, and he just quickly fires it over to first base, and Alberto Gonzalez is over there. But it's not something he needs to think about. It's a question of just let it fly. Even if you get it over there on one hop. I mean, Matt Williams used to just catch it and throw it. Ken Caminiti used to just catch it and throw it. I mean, sometimes if you don't think about it and you just throw it over there, it gives Nick at least a little bit of time to knock it down and catch it. One thing I've seen is when he kind of pumps it in his glove once or twice, that throws his mechanics off and he drops the shoulder. He's been traveling around. He had the All-Star experience. Hopefully, probably just a bit of mental drain and physically training.
Lannon slips it by Reed Johnson. That was an off-speed pitch. So after the foul ball, he's got him 0-2.
Well, Northrop Grumman right here. You see the great breaking ball, the great movement right there. When a guy misses the ball by that much, you know it's a good breaking ball.
0-2 pitch. And a breaking ball hit just outside the line. And our pitch track tonight brought to you by Northrop Grumman, the information systems powerhouse. Reed Johnson's driven in 16 runs this year. And with Soriano bombing in the leadoff spot, the Cubs turn to Reed Johnson, a .284 career hitter most of his career, 5 of the 6 years with Toronto. They were one of those ball clubs who Juan Pierre just wasn't good enough for. And when Juan Pierre was with the Cubs, he led the league in hits one year.
He was amazing. He was a perennial close to 200 hit a year guy.
I mean, what about
195, 200?
What about him in this lineup?
Would be tremendous.
Oh, 2, target in. Did he go? Yes, he did. And that's a strikeout for Lannon. The home plate umpire called him out. There's no need for an appeal. And John Lennon has his second K of the game. Now that's burying an 0-2 breaking ball.
Well, and it's dangerous sometimes to back up breaking balls one right after another, and Reed Johnson got around on the second one he did, but that one was followed up after an 87-mile-an-hour fastball up and in. Couldn't lay off, and he punches him out.
Obviously a swing. And now it's Ryan Theriot. Dangerous hitter, and that's foul. Just slicing a couple of feet down the right side.
Well, you see how their game plan is to go to right field. That time he went early with a fastball. You have to start throwing sometimes even an out pitch breaking ball to some of these right-handed hitters first pitch, because they're looking first pitch fastball against John. But he does a great job mixing it up. That's why I like him as the ace of the staff right now.
Target in. And another little flare.
Another breaking ball down and in. Got to really bury it. And you made the point. And when you say bury it, that means tie up the hands, get it below the hands, in around the waist to the ankles, and just throw it right inside. I don't care if you hit the guy every now and then. You hit a guy with a breaking ball, you're doing your job. But to leave it out there, you can give up home runs that way.
Well, we've seen our 0-2 breaking balls this year in the strike zone are shared. Don't care to see any more of those this year.
No, not at all.
Rather see him bounce one.
That's some great stats right there.
0-2, base hit. 79-mile-an-hour pitch against a hitter who hadn't gotten around on anything. And Ryan Theriot rescues the Cubs here in the third with his 31st RBI, and he has a 9-game hitting streak. That run, of course, unearned because of Zimmerman's error.
Well, we just talked about this, and it came to fruition, which doesn't make us very happy, but that's not a breaking ball out pitch. That's more of a breaking ball strike pitch. And Theriot's able to go down and get it and hit it into left field.
Brings up Milton Bradley on one pitch. He flied out to Willingham to end the top of the first.
You're not going to get beat by the number 1 and 2 guys in this lineup. They're not home run type hitters, although Theriot is having a career year as far as home runs with 7. But I'd rather see him challenge them with fastballs, and then you throw all the off speed to Bradley, Lee, Ramirez, Soriano. Yeah. That's where you're going to get some strikeouts and ground balls and need those pitches. You're helping these light hitting guys by throwing them breaking balls. You speed up their bat. You saw that happen with Theriot. Is it Theriot or Theriot?
It's Theriot.
I like to call him the Riot.
That's how you spell it.
I know.
Theriot Fontenot on the same ball club.
Yep.
Raging Cajuns from Louisiana. They were LSU teammates.
I was going to say, they sound like they're French.
They are.
See it on the back.
Ryan
the Riot
is from Baton Rouge, the home of LSU.
Right.
He was on that 2000 team that won the College World Series and made the All-Tournament team. And a 2-2 pitch from Lannon into right field. Josh Willingham over toward the line. Plenty of time. Fair ball when he catches it. And Lannon minimizes the damage, but the error costing the Nats a run. Bottom of the order coming up.
minor league level, right?
Yeah, we got a lot of minor league ball, but we really, I mean, this is really neat for me. This park is great, and they got, I mean, Major League Baseball. These guys are so talented and so athletic. It's really a lot of fun to watch.
And this is not your first time here either.
No, we try to get here as often as we can, which is not as much as we want, but we've been here 4 or 5 times over the last year or so.
And Senator Durbin, what do you think of this ballpark?
It's beautiful. I was at the opening game for the Nats in RFK. Came back here last year for a game, and it got rained out. So this is beautiful tonight, and I encourage a lot of fans to come on out to this great stadium.
You're such a baseball fan, a fan of the game. How special was it to have baseball return to our nation's capital after a hiatus?
I went to college and law school in Washington, so I remember the Senators with Ted Williams and the rest, and it's great because I know everybody was anxious to get the team back here, and you know, I can just tell you, it's going to grow, the fan support's going to grow.
Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen. Good job. Bob, back over to you.
Thank you, Debbie Taylor. Thank you, Senators. Real Washington Senators, huh? And there's one on the inside corner to Josh Bard, hitting a 270, but 333 over his last 25 games. And Josh is it safely again now in 5 of his last 6. Nothing so far off of Rich Harden. 2-2. And a pop-up right field line. Milton Bradley out right behind Baker, and Baker will take it. That's 7 straight to start the game for Harden. Get your red on. Rob and I have our red on. Johnny and Ray, everybody around the ballpark this weekend, and pick out a Grand Slam Flex pan. 4 games, you get 1 free. 5 different plans to choose from. Pick your plan, your games, your seats, and get a free game. 202-675-NATS or nationals.com/Grand Slam. The last time the Nationals scored a run was in the 7th inning of that 13-2 blowout at Houston on Saturday night. So the Nats have now gone more than 13 innings without scoring a run. Alberto Gonzalez hitting .333.
Well, and we might want to get to Harden before we get to the bullpen. Told you their bullpen is outstanding. They have yet to allow an inherited runner to score in July. And this is even better. Of the 123 inherited runners on base so far this year for the bullpen, only 90 of them have been stranded. So that's what Steve McCatty talks about out of his pitchers. He wants to see you strand a lot of base runners.
Yeah, because as you and I have talked about, ERAs for a reliever often a meaningless stat.
Yep.
Because they're allowing hits, scoring runs charged to previous pitchers. 3-1 to Gonzalez. Good contact man. Alberto hits it well.
Nice.
Right field corner. It'll rattle around at the 335 mark. It gets away from Bradley a little bit, and it doesn't take much to get Gonzalez to third. A great swing, good wheels, his 2nd triple of the year, and the Nats have the tying run at third base with 1 out. That ball doesn't have to get very far away from the right fielder for great base runners to be thinking 3.
Well, and you also have to watch the play. It's right in front of you. You see Alberto Gonzalez head down, hustling around first, but then he picks his head up, sees it get by Bradley, and then he just kicks it into another gear. See him looking at it. Oh, got by him. And I'm off to the races all the way to third. Great heads-up base running by the young buck.
Great chance for John Lannon to get his 2nd Major League RBI here. John has 4 hits this year, only 7 in his career. He's one of those guys who's been swinging the bat better lately on a night when he's the starting pitcher. Infield in, outfield way around to the left. Soriano's only about 25 feet off the left field line. Lannon a swing and a miss, and the count's even 1-1.
He's got a nice batting average. He's hitting a .133. It's respectable for a pitcher.
Yeah. And Harden is not fooling around. That was
just
96.
Just a bit tardy on that one.
Wow.
96. Boy, when he needs to kick it up a notch, Harden's got that reach back for a little bit extra.
Lannon gets around late.
Hey, he made contact.
Ball got him near the trademark.
97, that'll sting your hands. All he's got to do really is put the ball in play, and it could go all the way out deep enough to score the run from third.
A little bit inside. He threw a slider.
Yeah, it didn't slide.
Say he's got a hard slider though. 87. That's hard for a breaking ball.
He's also got an out pitch breaking ball and a fork ball.
2-2 to Lannon. No contest. Strikeout number 3. 2 outs here in the third. Niger Morgan will be next. He's driven in 2 runs in 11 plus games as a net. And his next RBI will be number 30. Now the middle infielders can back up, but the corner infielders would be foolish to do so. In fact, Aramis Ramirez is on the grass. Derek Lee has won 3 Gold Gloves on the other side. Would have been 4 had he not been hurt in 2006. Opening the door for Albert Pujols to win one. Well, Morgan will chop it. No balls, 2 strikes.
You may not win a Gold Glove every year, but you're still a great defensive player.
Yeah.
So this guy's one of the best in the game. When he came over from the Marlins, you see the 3-time Gold Glove winner. He's just a great fielder. He's 6'6", 6'7", great target to throw to. Fearless, will dig it out of the dirt. He saves so many runs and errors from his team. He's worth having over there.
Morgan stays with it. That's a survival swing.
Ooh, E on the ball, kid. Through the wickets.
Yeah, we got to tighten that up too. Forgot to address that one for the second half.
We kid because we care. See, now he's blowing it by people. You have a contact leadoff guy, not a lot of pop from Morgan, and he fools around with a hanging slider. Changeup.
Bottom of the third, Cubs lead because of an error and a double. And the Nats trying to cash in the triple by Gonzalez. 1-2 to Morgan. And out to second. That'll be easy for Jeff Baker. And the Nats are gone in the third. They've stranded their first runner. Middle innings coming up in a 1-0 game. Outfield would go to the top of the 4th inning. John Lannon hooking up with Rich Harden. We've got some Cubby blue in the ballpark tonight. Nats fans, of course, getting their red on for the weekend. And here's Derek Lee. I think the Nats are going to wear their red all weekend long. Kind of a let's get the second half started in good fashion, getting the red on. Lee scorched one at Willingham in right field first time up. John Lannon stays away 2-0.
What about an all red uniform? Maybe change up the color of the socks, but put some red pants.
Red pants. You are a radical guy.
I like doing different stuff.
I don't own any.
I used to have some red cowboy boots. They were elephant skin.
Wow. Three and one, dangerous count. Derek Lee was taught how to hit the ball hard to right and right center by his hitting coach in Florida, the late Bill Robinson. He became a real complete hitter back around 02-03. He always had great numbers, but the batting average wasn't always that high. But after Bill Robinson got a hold of him, 31 homers, 92 RBIs when the Marlins won the whole thing in 03. 3-2 pitch. He drives one to right. That ball is right on the chalk line. Rattles around down there. He's got some speed. He'll stop at second with a leadoff double. He knows who the next two hitters are. But Derek Lee, now that Julio Franco has retired, might be the right-handed hitter along with David Wright, who hits the ball harder the opposite way than anybody.
You see that pitch middle away. They're still going. Remember his first at bat, he lined out to right field. Still trying to take John Lannon the other way if they're right-handed.
And here's Ramirez, who walked. But Rob, can you think of any right-handed batters other than Lee and David Wright who hit the ball better over there?
No. I mean, Piazza was amazing. Frank Thomas was amazing the other way.
Yeah. One ball and one strike to Ramirez, batting .333.
Yanni Ramirez is not bad the other way.
Ramirez following it straight back. He's just turned 31 on June 25th. He's been an all-star a couple of times. Originally signed by the Pirates at the age of 16. Tough inning for Lannon here, with the number 5 man having led off with a double. Number 4 man, pardon me, and number 5 Ramirez in the box. He bounces the breaking ball 2-2. Do we have our first heckler of the year now?
And as far as hecklers go, what's he talking about? Breakfast?
2 balls, 2 strikes.
I'm in his kitchen and I'm cooking eggs. It's making me hungry.
I thought sluggers ate steak. Most productive third baseman in baseball. How about that?
Very underrated.
He looked that one all the way in. Last year he had 27 homers and 44 doubles. Went to a second All-Star game. th year for Ramirez, and he's only 31. 3-2 pitch. Breaking ball. Popped into center. Runner won't be able to go anywhere. Niger Morgan with that easy fly ball for a very important first out. Sunday will wrap up this 4-game series. Be one or bring one of the first 10,000 fans ages 12 and under. Enter the Nats gates and get a free insulated lunch bag presented by Smithfield. Watch the Nats and the Cubs at 1:35, 888-632-NATS, or nationals.com. Smithfield makes a lot of great food products you will see at your neighborhood grocery stores. And they've been a longtime sponsor of the Nats. That's a good breaking ball. Soriano doesn't like the call. Got the inside corner according to Paul Emmel. And Soriano is out over the plate. So you can put one right under his hands and get a strike called with it. Lannon stays in there, but this one's upstairs. Look at that. Where has the power gone? He's hit 14 this year. But like he was here, often an all or nothing hitter.
Well, and he uses a huge bat too. It's like a 35-35. And I'm not going to say he's getting older, but you may want to just go a notch down a little bit lighter, because if you're late on that 87.
When he was 40-40 for the Nats in 06. Became the 4th major leaguer to do that. Jose Canseco, Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez. 2-2. Lee still at second, 1 out. That's the pitch Soriano struck out on first time. John Lannon's pitch count starting to mount. He's gone to a full count on all 3 hitters here in the 4th. Right off the end of the bat and a little spinner to center field. They'll hold the runner. Morgan misses the cutoff man. They've got Soriano trapped. Bard to Guzman and to Gonzalez. Bad base running by Alfonso Soriano.
Thanks, Fonzie.
It'll go 8-2, 6-4. And I think what happened there was Alfonso saw that Morgan launched a throw that was a little bit high and thought he could get to second base.
Well, and they probably also know that we don't usually hit the cutoff man. But here you see the pitch goes right over Nick Johnson's head. But Josh Bard did a nice job of recognizing Soriano trying to take off for second. Guzman, strong throw. Got him. And it's so important to hit the cutoff man, because if you hit Nick Johnson, then Nick just has to jog about 10 feet to get Soriano in a rundown. We have to start shoring up the defense.
Yep. Bases, well, not empty, but a man at third now, and a big 2-out situation for Jeff Baker. And Soriano hurt himself going back into the bag. Fly ball, right field. You make a base running mistake, the inning unravels in a hurry, and the Cubs are gone in the top of the 4th. It's still a 1-0 game. Is legendary. We're talking about the Cabot Woodstains legendary performance. Ed Summers of the Tigers pitching all 18 innings of a scoreless tie against the Senators on this date in 1909, 100 years ago. I love the collars on those uniforms. Now that's pitching deep into 2 games. Here's Nick. Fly to center first time up. And a little bouncer right side, Derek Lee. A tradition of innovation is Firestone. League leaders in runs. Pujols leads in just about everything. Chase Utley right there, Ryan Braun, Jason Worth, all of them are all-stars, including the number 6 guy. As many runs scored as Prince Fielder. That's with only 1 hit. Unfortunately, it came from the only man who has to bat right in front of the pitcher. Gonzalez a triple, stranded in the 3rd. And Harden pitching extremely well. So is John Lannon for that matter. John's only given up 3 hits, been victimized by an error. To reach 200 hits, Ryan Zimmerman will have to have as many base hits in 75 games as he had in the Nationals' first 85. He missed 2 games in Houston after the death of his grandmother. So he'll have a shot. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And that's upstairs.
Well, Harden's got such great velocity tonight on the fastball, and he's just so strong arm-wise. He's throwing right through that breaking ball.
Got him on a pitch inside.
He made the adjustment. I'm sure he felt that other breaking ball go right through his fingers, and he dropped down, got on top of that one, followed through, and watch the break here as he follows through on Northrop Grumman, pulls that arm down, gets the ball to go down. Nice mechanics. Equals a strikeout.
It almost looked like a hard screwball from a right-hander. And here's Adam Dunn, 2 outs, bases empty. Cubs employ the full bore shift here with the second baseman way out in right field.
That breaking ball will have the action of a forkball
if
you throw it hard enough, and he does. I mean, he's throwing 97, 86, 87 on the breaking ball. Like you said, it's hard to imagine this guy's 5 and 6 with a 5.5 earned run average coming in.
Yep.
I have to believe he wasn't
Nationals,
healthy all the time.
The Nationals are 2 outs into the 15th inning of their scoreless streak. Where has the offense gone after Saturday night's Houston explosion? Adam Dunn extremely late for that one. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Nats had numerous opportunities to tie or go ahead in that long-time 1-0 game on Sunday before eventually being shut out by the Astros 5-0. But with this big boy in the batter's box, they're always 1 swing away from their next home run and their next run scored. Adams hit 23 this year. By the way, his strikeout in the 2nd inning was his 100th of the year. Right down the middle. Harden has hitters guessing and disoriented right now. After 4, the Cubs with an unearned run leading by 1.
went to Senators games.
Oh, he enjoyed it. He enjoyed it. He's always been a baseball kind of guy, so much so that he didn't like vacations. He didn't like leaving town. He wanted to stay home and play baseball. He was a baseball guy.
How good was he in high school?
Well, there was one guy that thought he was better. Well, old boy Steve Kimball thought he was a little bit better than Jim, but that's because Steve had them change all the records so that his records looked better than Jim, but Jim had all the records.
Now, something you told me that I don't think the folks here in Washington, D.C. know is that he's in the Hall of Fame.
He's in the Hall of Fame at Frostburg, yeah, baseball Hall of Fame.
Fantastic. Now, Mike, I have to ask you, Jim is older than you are,
yes,
but
by 9 years.
What did you learn from him?
Just his dedication. He would, when I was younger, he would take me along to play when he played baseball in Virginia, and just watching his dedication. He would work all day in the summer, and then get home at 5:30, get dressed, and then drive over there for an hour to play a game every day. I mean, he was just incredible, his dedication. He would run, he would work out, and he didn't go on family trips very often because he liked to stay home and play sports. So he's very dedicated that way. Yeah.
Okay, outstanding, and obviously making the family very proud. Bob, back up to you.
Thank you, Debbie. And of course, Jim Riggleman still holds the single game home run and RBI records at Frostburg State. He once hit 3 homers and drove in 8 runs in a single ball game. Yeah, he's in their Athletic Hall of Fame. 2-1 to the pitcher, and Harden fouls it back after a good play by Christian Guzman on a hard hit scorcher by Coy Hill. Harden's a good hitter, 7 for 23 this year. How about him and Carlos Zambrano back-to-back nights? We'll see him tomorrow.
Zambrano, a righty that hits lefty with a lot of pop. What'd you say? He's got 3 home runs this year. Zambrano.
He's got 3 homers this year. It's crazy. Don't they know how to get him out?
He takes a full hack at the ball.
I shouldn't say get him out. Don't they know how to keep him in the park? Yeah. 2 outs, bases empty, and here's Reed Johnson. That ball really hit hard. A one-hopper to Josh Willingham. That's the second time he's hit the ball hard to right field. He's aboard with 2 outs for Ryan Theriot. Well, look at this. John Lannon up there with some of the best at home in this organization in the last 2 decades. Now, that would have been a good trivia question. Who's got the lowest? I don't think any of us would have thought of Mark Gardner, Pedro, and Dennis Martinez, all the others.
I'm pretty sure Gardner threw a no-hitter that year. I'm almost positive he threw a no-hitter.
You were playing then.
Yep.
There's Ryan Theriot, who has the Cubs' only RBI tonight. An 0-2 pitch that he took down the left field line for a double. Now, Reed Johnson is not much of a running threat. This is what I was talking about earlier. With Soriano having to be dropped down, the Cubs now have a leadoff man who has 1 stolen base this year.
Uh-oh. The heckler's back.
There's the fastball on the outside corner, quickly 0-2. Carlos Zambrano and Scott Olson tomorrow night. Don't forget Friday night fireworks. Hopefully while the Nats are batting and then after the game. Theriot has a 9-game hitting streak now, 14 for his last 32. By the way, a good baseball man is over there coaching first for the Cubs. Longtime Lou Piniella protege, Matt Sinatro. Matt was with Lou in Seattle. Really good baseball guy. And a true gentleman. 1-2 to Theriot with a step out. By the way, it's interesting. Over the years, since the Nats came to Washington, guess who they have their best record against? It's the Chicago Cubs, 13-12. Let's see if they can do something about the 1-run deficit. Josh Willingham ahead with Guzman and Bard to follow bottom 5. The only 2 managers to win at least 90 games with 4 teams.
Well, you know it's got to be Lou.
Lou Piniella's got to be one. 90 games with
Tony La
4
Russa.
teams. Well, Tony's only been with 3 teams then. White Sox, A's, Cardinals. Bobby Cox has only been with 2 teams. Blue Jays, Braves. Sparky was only Reds, Tigers, right?
Yeah. What about Joe Torre?
Torre,
Braves,
St. Louis,
New York,
Mets, Dodgers.
Is that 90 in a season or 90 overall?
I would assume in a season, right?
You bring Medwick back?
Willingham pops it out of play to the right side. That's 90 in a season.
Okay, so 90 in a season. I don't know, because Joe didn't manage that well in St. Louis.
Yeah, he got fired.
Atlanta.
Joe got fired and went on to New York.
And they called him Clueless Joe.
That wasn't nice.
I'd like to find the guy who wrote that one. That was pretty brilliant.
Cardinals had a bad day that day. They fired the manager and traded their 3rd baseman to the hated Cubs. Todd Zeile. You don't like trades inside the division that much, do you?
No, I do not. Especially, you know, they're talking about Roy Halladay going to the Red Sox or the Yankees.
Willingham gets jammed and pops it up into the twilight. Derek Lee takes charge near the mound, 1 out.
I mean, why would you, if you're the Blue Jays, want to face Roy Halladay over the next at least year and a half if you trade him? Or even year and 2 months. And if he goes to the Yankees or the Red Sox, especially the Yankees, I would say Halladay signs an extension.
I think he'd like the winning pretty quickly, wouldn't he?
Yeah, that's what he said. He just wants to go to a winner.
Yeah. They've spent a lot of money in Toronto in recent years with nothing to show for it. Christian Guzman flied to left first time. You could say that in the first 4 1/3 innings Rich Harden has pitched, there has been 1 hitter who has centered the ball on him, and that would be Alberto Gonzalez, who got the opposite field triple. Nobody else has hit the ball hard. Little chopper, he hopes it goes foul. Ask about the Nats at massinsports.com. We have an email question from Reza Amini over in Alexandria. Would a team like the Nats make an offer for Roy Halladay. Rob, I don't think he would want to come here, do you?
He's got a no trade clause. I don't know. It depends on if they would give him an extension. I don't know if the Lerner family is up for the money it's going to take to lock him up past that year and a half. But he's only making 14 and a half.
But can you imagine the influence he would be on our young pitchers?
He would be amazing. Sometimes instead of having the pitching coach, just having a guy of his stature and his personality, his work ethic, could turn a pitching staff around and an organization. But that's asking an awful lot. You're going to have to give up an awful lot for a Roy Halladay.
The question is,
very good prospects and maybe one or two everyday players.
How do you sign Steven Strasburg and pay Roy Halladay?
I think you don't sign Strasburg and you pay Roy Halladay because you have a proven one of the top 3 pitchers in the game. But that's just me.
And then Scott Boras,
speculating.
and then Scott Boras can take his show anywhere around the world.
Absolutely, go to Japan, take a year off, whatever. We got Roy Halladay. We locked him up 3-4 years down the road. I mean, because you look at CC Sabathia, he's making $23 million a year. Santana's making $22 million a year.
Guzman hacks a 3-2 pitch.
You've already got Halladay locked in at 14.5 per the rest of this year, and then 14.5 for next year. It's a bargain compared to the other guys.
That's true. That's true. I can't think of a better way to spend $15 million. Easy for us to spend.
It's not our money,
right?
So yeah, absolutely.
It's an intriguing question.
It is an intriguing
That's
question.
a really good one. 3-2 pitch again, and he's going to call Guzman out on a borderline pitch to the outside corner, and Harden has now struck out 3 of the last 4 Nats.
This is just 95 at the knees on the black. Didn't give it to him earlier in the game. You see he'll bring it back and frame it. And he gets it. When you start dealing like Harden has thrown tonight, start to get a few of those borderline calls.
Here's Bard.
But getting back to the Halladay for just a second, you have to explore it. The 29 teams in baseball have to at least call J.P. Ricciardi and say, what are you looking for?
What is it going to take?
What's it going to take to get it? You know, then you take it to Halladay, and he can always veto it.
Josh, I believe, got hit by that. He'll go down to first base. And the Nats have only their second base runner tonight.
But yeah, I think every team's got to at least pick up the phone and make that phone call.
Well, and here's the other thing. Remember the money the Nationals were talking about that they were willing to spend on Mark Teixeira.
This is true. Here's a bounce first, and then hit him in the kneecap.
Back leg. No protection there.
That's going to hurt.
Now here's Alberto Gonzalez, who has the night's best swing against Harden. And Harden knows the situation. He knows the pitcher's on deck. If Gonzalez can get his bat on something and bloop it in, they'll tip their cap, knowing he can probably strike out John Lannon. This might be a time for Gonzalez to take a different approach and try to jack the ball somewhere. He hits it hard.
Nice.
And he's 2 for 2. I thought he might try to pull the ball that at bat, thinking, hey, I'm not a home run hitter, but you never know, I might get a hold of one. So it's the Alberto Gonzalez show tonight in terms of the entire Nats offense.
Well, and that's most impressive right there. With 2 outs, doesn't take a huge hit, just smokes the ball right through the infield. Use his power against him. 95, hit it right back through in between third and short. But 2 very well put together at bats by Alberto tonight.
Want to know what he's hitting now?
Oh, about 350.
345. Here's John Lannon with another RBI opportunity. But he's going to have to get the bat on the ball somehow against the great stuff of Rich Harden. He does. Left side, and they have a play at second base. Well done by Theriot. John Lannon trying to sneak one through. The Nats have stranded 3 and trail 1-0. tossing of the helmet coming down the third baseline. That's the grand slam that took place in front of a couple dozen of our friends at nearly 2 o'clock in the morning a few years ago. And the infamous opening night homer last year, first game in the history of Nationals Park. Interesting young career he's had. Born right here back in '84. 4th overall pick by the Nats, and Jim Bowden back in '05, USA Baseball's Athlete of the Year, and a stellar career at the University of Virginia. So we arrive at the 6th inning. Guzman stabs it to his left. There have been 2 tests for Christian Guzman here tonight, and he's now passed both of them, each of them a leadoff hitter. Coy Hill in the 5th and Milton Bradley here in the 6th. And Rob, this is significant because Christian's had a lot of trouble going to his left.
Oh yeah, and especially on that road trip down in Houston, a couple of rough nights. That is a bullet off the bat of Milton Bradley that he picked it no problem. Plenty of time, threw him out at first. This is just a beautiful thing right there when your shortstop makes a play like that. Mistake by Lannon, picked off by the defense.
Here's Derek Lee, who's hit the ball hard twice. 1 for 2 with a double. Cubs' only RBI you saw from the number 2 spot, Ryan Theriot. That ball hit hard. Look out, folks. A severe hook down the left field line. Man, this guy hits the ball hard. When he's locked in, he hits the ball as hard as Gary Sheffield or anybody else in this league. He just doesn't swing as hard.
Well, he's
in 2-2.
He's such a big, strong kid that he's got such torque. And when he does connect, it kind of reminds me of Dave Winfield.
Breaking ball hit foul.
It's like they just wind up. They have a little bit more on their arm swing. And when they do connect at bat speed, it's a connection. It's just a rocket going somewhere.
Dad Leon Lee was a good ball player in Japan. Uncle Leron played 10 years in the big leagues. And a 2-2. Well, you talk about hitters. I'd like to see the Lee family take on the Alous. 2 generations of great bats.
What about the Bells or the Boones?
Uh-oh, this ball hit really hard right field, and it's going to rocket right out of here. Derek Lee with his 18th of the year. 2-0 Cubs. John Lennon gives up his 13th homer of the year.
Well, we talked about, there you see Bard wanting the ball down. It's a hanging, breaking ball up and away. Derek Lee just crushes that ball.
And that is a swing perfected in Florida, as I mentioned. But Rob, a ballpark in Florida where it's about 380, 390 to right center field, he didn't let that bother him in learning how to hit the opposite field there.
No, because when you do get full extension, no ballpark will hold you if you hit it on the sweet spot of the bat, and that's probably what Bill Robinson was teaching him.
And if you don't hit it out, it's probably a double.
Right, it's in the gap, it's going to be trouble, you're going to get a lot of doubles, you're going to get some home runs, but then you go on the road and you'll start launching balls, a lot of small porches. Here's the home run. I mean, he waits a little bit longer than most guys because he knows his power is to right center. And right there, he gets his pitch on the sweet spot, full extension of the arms.
Here's Alfonso Soriano with 2 outs and the bases empty. Struck out first time, single, and got himself caught in a rundown between first and second time up. Severe jammage right there. Zimmerman on the run. He's a laser beam when he's running and throwing. And the Derek Lee homer puts the Cubs on top, 2-0.
moral to the story is that Teddy's not messing around anymore.
Yeah, I think there's a new Teddy in town.
There's a new Teddy in town.
We'll see if he's a sheriff or not. There's nothing on the Nats box except 2 hits for Gonzalez. And maybe a bunt base hit for Nyjer Morgan. Safe at first. He always has the capability to start off an inning like that. And even with Aramis Ramirez, a good third baseman, playing in, he's able to drop down a beauty.
Well, I had a conversation in Houston about this very thing with Nyjer. I said that Michael Bourne had 30 infield singles a few years ago. Willie Tavares had 70 infield hits. I said, listen, with your speed, and you just put the ball on the turf, you're going to get 30 to 50 more a year. And
yeah,
he thought I had 2 heads when I said that to him. But no, he's got tremendous speed, and if he can lay some bunts down like that, it can mean trouble for opposing defenses.
And a strike to Nick Johnson, 0 for 2. That's the first base hit by anybody not named Gonzalez tonight. Morgan's got a good lead. Coy Hill, by the way, a great percentage so far. He's obviously a backup type catcher who's better defensively than he is with the bat. He's batting just over 200, but he's caught 5 of 11 would-be base stealers. That also means the Cubs have done a good job of giving him a chance. That's another strike to Nick, and the count's 0-2. Harden nearing 90 pitches. He's gone over 100.
Their bullpen's already up, though. They
6
know.
times.
I told you, he's only gone 7 twice.
He only went 5 innings last time against the Cardinals over the weekend, but he threw 101 pitches in a loss. Morgan started, then stopped, and Nick snaps his leg back away from that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That is Guzman, one of their 6 right-handers. Runner going, pitch up, throw is into center field. Morgan is up and on third base.
Nice.
His 25th stolen base. Coy Hill's 2nd error of the year, and the Nats are in business here in the 6th inning. What a weapon he has become.
Well, it's off to the races as soon as Harden lifts that front leg. Hills throws short, hops Theriot, and that just allows Nyjer to go all the way to third. There's the slow-mo. They didn't have him anyway, but the bad throw allows him to go an extra base.
Now the infield's back, so the Cubs are basically giving you this run if you put the ball in play. That bounces. Morgan way down the line. 3-2. Rob Dibble getting out the reins.
Yeah, don't get too frisky.
Not with nobody out.
Yeah, nobody out. 2-0 game. Having trouble scoring some runs off Harden here. Let Nick do his thing, and hopefully he can hit one either through the infield or in the air out the outfield. You walk home.
3-2 to Nick. He corks one hard and foul. Right on the sweet spot. And the count stays 3-2. Nick pretty solid this year. 33 of his 38 RBIs in such situations. And he hits that one hard. It'll bring in a run. Well played by the shortstop Theriot. And finally the scoreless streak is over at 16 innings. Get him on, get him over, get him in. And Morgan was responsible for most of it.
Nice job right here by Nick. Fouls off a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Then he puts one in play, hits it to the middle of the field. Only one play for Theriot, and that's over to first base.
Harden has struck out Zimmerman swinging twice. That's that nasty breaking ball. Well, no, that's a fastball, 93. He just took a little bit off the heater. That's pretty good when you can gear down to 93.
He is not pitching like a pitcher that's 5 and 6. He's pitching like his career record where he's 20 games over 500.
Yeah.
Last year was 5-1, 12 starts with an under 2 ERA with the Cubs. Like I said, I doubt he was healthy the first few months of the season.
Zimmerman pulls one deep in the hole. Theriot again. Derek Lee corrals it for the second out. Ryan Zimmerman been active in the community through his Zims Foundation. Some UVA connections there, obviously. Kids adore him, and Ryan relates to them so well. Ryan, by the way, was 10 years old when his mom Cheryl was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis back in '93. And here comes Adam Dunn. And that will cause a young man
Almost
to
sounded like
see
hit him.
things from a different perspective and grow up in a hurry.
This is true. Yeah, he's one of the most well-grounded young men I've ever met. But there's a lot of them on this team.
Zimmerman and Dunn 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts tonight. So Harden pulls the string on the big guy. How about Ryan on his mom Cheryl?
They got to come out to the All-Star game, and she still loves coming to watching and relaxing at home and things like that. So, you know, things are good, same as they've always been, and you know, she's the same person as she's always been.
I think you could say that for mom and son. Thought it was interesting when Tim McCarver was talking about all the talent that's come out of the Tidewater area the other night. Ryan, David Wright, the Uptons. Wow. Adam Dunn befuddled against Rich Harden tonight. 3 strikeouts. Harden on the night has 7. The Nats do manufacture a run. They're off the schneid and back in the game 2-1. Toward the Blue Ridge Mountains tonight. That is absolutely beautiful.
Affleck!
Oh. Speaking of beautiful, the only two managers to win at least 90 with 4 teams. Lou Piniella and Dick Williams. I know Dick was in Seattle. He won World Series in Oakland. San Diego too, I believe. Alan Trammell alongside. You know what? Alan Trammell doesn't get enough credit for the job he did bringing that Detroit team from nowhere through that horrible season they had in '03. And then Jim Leyland got to come in and enjoy all the fruits of Alan Trammell's hard work with that ball club. You can see some parallels between what happened in Detroit and what might be happening here. Well hit, deep short. Guzman overreaches it. Ball hits off the heel of his glove, and Jeff Baker will surely get a base hit. All right, Rob, I'm going to let you handle this. They can look at all the facts and all the figures, but you played for Lou Piniella. Tell us something about him we don't know.
He loves his players. Absolutely adores the guys on that team, and he's as much a part of the team as any manager or coach I've ever been around, and takes it to heart. Every loss really injures him. So that's the thing about Lou maybe people don't understand.
Wow, Zimmerman says, I got it, and he sure did. On a perfect bunt by Coy Hill. That must mean they're going to pinch hit for the pitcher.
I mean, I grew up respecting him as a player, and Lou was very clutch as a player. And this is a very nice bunt right here by Hill. Very tough play right there by Ryan Zimmerman. He's only got one chance. He makes the most of it.
Well, you're not going to pinch hit, or rather sacrifice, in front of the pitcher, and they will pinch hit Micah Hoffpower. Interesting player, this guy. He put up some numbers as the Cubs minor league player of the year last year at Iowa. How does anybody have 100 RBIs in the minor leagues anymore? I mean, when you get 70, they call you up. 25 homers, a .362 batting average at AAA Iowa last year.
I was watching a player, I have to think of his name, or the organization. He's already got 27 homers and 72 RBI in the AAA All-Star game last night that I was watching. I'm thinking, how are you not in the major leagues?
Well, I remember a AAA All-Star game I did one year in Indianapolis, and there was a kid like that playing for the Indianapolis Ball Club named Adam Dunn. And that night he hit 2 home runs out of Victory Field in downtown Indianapolis. And shortly thereafter, he was in the big leagues and never went back.
Yeah, he plays for the Milwaukee Brewers AAA team, the Nashville Sounds. And he is behind Corey Hart, All-Star, Mike Cameron, Gold Glover, and Ryan Braun. And Jody Garrett is the backup.
They'll find a place for him.
Yeah, if you can hit, they'll find a place for you. Or somebody's organization will trade for you.
Runner at second, 1 out. Hoffpower the hitter, and a count of 0-2. Breaking ball hit hard. What a pick by Nick. He'll go to the bag himself to keep the Cubs from scoring another run. Baker over to third with 2 outs. That's one of Nick Johnson's best plays of the year. And it'll bring up Reed Johnson with 2 outs.
Well, our defense has really saved us tonight right there. That's an incredible play by Nick. And he gets up. I got this one.
Lannon was there if needed. Steve McAddy to the mound to talk to John Lannon, who's now thrown 105 pitches. This might be his last inning on a very warm evening. Rich Harden is done after 99. He gave the Nats only an unearned run on 3 hits, didn't walk anybody.
Well, and he's expected 5th next inning.
Well, tomorrow through Sunday, the Nats are hosting their 4th annual Christmas in July. It's a toy drive in partnership with the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve Toys for Tots Foundation. Drop off new unwrapped toys at the gates through the 4th inning. And if you'd like more info, 202-675-NATS or visit nationals.com. That'll start tomorrow through Sunday. You've always responded well Maryland, D.C., and Northern Virginia in the past, and we hope you will again.
Very nice percentage there, 71 strikes out of 105 pitches. And he has pitched around some people carefully tonight.
But not Reed
there.
Johnson.
Nope.
He got a first pitch changeup, and the Cubs lead 3-1. Reed Johnson 2 for 2 tonight. He's had 3 good at bats.
And that's going to do it for John.
That's kind of unusual. You hardly ever see a pitcher throw a first pitch changeup after the pitching coach comes to the mound.
Agreed, but I'm sure that Reed Johnson thought in his head, okay, why is the pitching coach going out there when I'm coming up? He's probably saying, be careful with this contact guy. We've talked about it all night. The 1 and 2 guys are not going to hurt you on fastballs. Great job tonight by John Lannon. He will learn from this outing, but the home run, guys are going to hit home runs.
It's the top of the 7th. The Cubs have a 3-1 lead. Scott Olson has been scratched from his start tomorrow night. We're told some left shoulder stiffness. Craig Stammen will be moved up. Everybody else behind him moved up. And the anticipated matchup with Olson and Zambrano will not happen tomorrow night.
They said in the left lat area,
which is around behind your shoulder.
Behind your shoulder, probably up near his neck. Remember, he's coming off the disabled list after missing about 8 starts.
Jason Bertman gets the call here. He had a great strikeout of Carlos Lee in Houston in a power matchup. 18th appearance.
Nice breaking ball.
Just looking back on Scott Olson's last outing in the 6-5 loss at Houston Friday night. 6 innings, 4 runs, 9 hits, a couple of walks, a strikeout. He threw 94 pitches, threw a couple of big double play balls, and we weren't aware that anything was amiss the day after that start.
You never know, though. I mean, he could have slept on the shoulder wrong. On the off day, flying back, anything can get to your arm. You remember Oliver Perez years ago, after he got traded from Pittsburgh. Before that, he hurt his shoulder in spring training, sleeping on it.
Sounds absurd to some of us, but it's a very real thing for pitchers. What precautions do you take when you're resting so that you don't put all your weight on your moneymaker all night?
A lot of times I pack that side of my body with pillows so that I wouldn't roll that way, and if I did, it would wake me up. But I never went to bed without a sweatshirt on. always kept that arm covered in the air conditioning. In fact, I had a wetsuit arm cut off and then put Velcro on it, and I wore that. It'd be 135 on the turf in Cincinnati, and I would have something cover my arm at all times. I tell every young player, keep that arm under wraps. Take care of it. Like you said, that's your moneymaker.
That ball off the glove of Bard on a 92-mile-an-hour fastball way upstairs. Reed Johnson to second base. This will be an interesting decision for the official scorer.
It's just a fastball that takes off over the head of Josh Bard.
They're going to call it a wild pitch because of the location way upstairs. Got to keep this a 2-run game here, and Bergman misses outside 3-2. Ryan Theriot 1 for 3 with an RBI double. The Cubs are starting to show some life offensively. And Bergman gets him on a breaking ball up and away. Chicago on a base hit, a bunt, and a single at the 7th inning stretch now, leading 3-1. Virginia head coach and still the head man down there, Brian O'Connor. Hey, Coach, thanks for joining us and congratulations on a wonderful season this year.
Thanks, Bob. I appreciate you having me on. We had a special group down at Virginia this year and made a run to the College World Series. And, Ryan was a big part of developing our program 4 and 5 years ago, and we're excited for the success he's had in Washington.
When you had Ryan Zimmerman and Mark Reynolds on the team at the same time, did you know that you had 2 future major leaguers?
Well, I tell you, both of those guys stuck out right away. To have those 2 players as your left side of the infield in college baseball is pretty special. Ryan's obviously a tremendous defensive player and was in college, and Mark Reynolds hit a number of home runs for us at UVA. So, it was a special group. But, it's hard to predict for sure whether somebody's going to be a big leaguer or not. But both of those players had really special qualities about them that you knew that they could play the team for a long time.
Brian, it's Rob Dibble.
Hey, Rob.
How are you? Usually major leaguers, when they're young, they have a certain kind of work ethic, a hunger. Was it there with both Mark and Ryan?
It was, Rob. That's what separates players a lot of times. And, the great thing about having a Ryan Zimmerman and a Mark Reynolds in your program is, they bring your program up. Other players look up to them, and the way that they carry themselves, the way that they work, the way that they handle adversity. That's one of the great qualities that Ryan has is, you know, the baseball is a game that's built around failure, and he's able to handle that failure the right way, and I think that's a big part of what's made him a special player.
Josh Willingham with a little chopper down the line and a good play by the pitcher. Angel Guzman picks it up, tags him out, basically all in one motion. Hey, Coach, thanks so much for your time tonight. Again, congrats on a great season. Come up and see us sometime. We'd love to have you in the booth.
Well, I'm going to be up there with my family in August. I'd love to see you guys. Thanks for having me on, man.
All right. Congrats to Coach Brian O'Connor, Coach Ryan Zimmerman, Mark Reynolds, and lots of great young men down in Charlottesville, Virginia. Angel Guzman, the new pitcher for the Cubs, 27-year-old, 6'3", 200. All right, Rob, you talked about this earlier. In this ball game, long way to go, but you're in trouble against this bullpen if you don't get the ball game tied right now or next inning at the very latest.
Well, and one of the strengths of this Cubs team is their bullpen and their pitching staff. And so once you turn the ball over to the bullpen, whether or not one guy gets in trouble, they're able to pick each other up. And that's a sign of a very good bullpen. Unselfish, doesn't matter who gets the saves. It's just trying to get the wins, and really it's been trying to put up enough runs to win a lot of these ball games. And I think something that Kevin Kennedy taught me over the last 4 years working with him on radio is the toughest few outs of the ball game, the last 9 outs to manage. And I think that Lou Piniella and his coaching staff, wherever he has gone, they manage those last 9 outs quite well.
You saw Andres Blanco, a switch hitting infielder, taking over at second base for Lou Piniella. He has a 2-run lead and a good bullpen. Right now he's shoring up his defense. Guzman takes a 3-1 pitch in there. Well, now it's 3-1 with 1 out here in the 7th. And an easy fly ball out to left field for Alfonso Soriano. 2 outs. Getting late. It's 9 o'clock in our nation's capital, but it's even later in terms of the ball game. 2 outs in the 7th. Josh Bard coming up. Bob Carpenter, Rob Dibble, Debbie Taylor, and our Masson HD crew here for a visit by the Cubs. First of 4 tonight. We'll see Carlos Zambrano tomorrow night against young Craig Stammen. Here's Josh Bard, 0 for 1, hit by a pitch. Hey, Rob, I haven't had a chance to ask you, what do you think of the All-Star game?
I thought it was well played, very well done by the St. Louis organization and the people at that stadium. They put on a great show, but I thought it was well played by both sides.
Yeah.
It was one of the, more entertaining All-Star games to watch. A lot of talented players, and it's the only thing that bothers me is the home field advantage. Everything else is there. The attitudes are there. The managers are trying to match up and mix and match players as best they can. They only have them for 2 days. So it was actually a lot of fun to watch this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like you. I don't like an exhibition game deciding where the World Series is played. Now, if the National League was 12-0-1, maybe we'd feel it. But
no, I still wouldn't think that is right.
I said that
because,
in jest.
Yeah, I just think that the regular season has to have meaning, and if one game can decide, who has home field advantage in the World Championship Series, then I think it's taken away from the regular season.
And let's be honest about it, it's all because of TV ratings for the All-Star game, not some loftier purpose. On to the 8th inning, it's all Cubs, 3-1. 3-1 Cubs. This ball game into the top of the 8th. Pitchers rule tonight, and this Chicago bullpen really something.
Yeah, it is. It's a very good bullpen, and this is a team that won 97 games last year. And they did lose Kerry Wood, their closer. They replaced him with Kevin Gregg. Jeff Samardzij's come up and down a few times. Carlos Marmol has, I think, 24 holds as far as a setup guy, but they have enough in that arsenal to shut you down. It's just been a question of scoring runs for the Cubs this year, where they're second to last in offense in the National League, but their pitching staff 4th in the National League. Their bullpen one of the best.
Yeah, they're not going to hit 247 all year either. The offense really a puzzle. Coming into this series, only the San Diego Padres had scored fewer runs than Lou Piniella's star-studded lineup. Milton Bradley's 0 for 3. There were rumors before the season that the Nationals were interested in Bradley. He was with Texas last year and actually went to the All-Star game. But he's had a .280 career batting average in his career in 9 years with Montreal, Cleveland, the Dodgers, Oakland, San Diego, and Texas. 12 times on the DL and suspended twice in 2004 for off and on the field issues. Swing and a miss on a fastball up.
Well, they were looking for not a spark, but a guy with talent. They gave him a 3-year, $30 million deal. It was rolling the dice. The talent is there. See the on-base percentage.
0 for 4 tonight.
Coors Light Freeze Cam, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. And right here we stop it on the freeze cam, and there you see full extension right there, getting the bat head out in front and then driving the ball the other way, and that equals his 18th home run of the season. So Derek Lee gets our Coors Light freeze cam.
18th home run, 15th double.
But if there's anything you can do on big power hitters in the middle of the lineup, it's not let them get their arms extended. So you have to ride a lot of fastballs in, and if you're going to go away, you go way away, down and away. So he has to throw the bat head at the ball, and all he can do is hit the ball to right field softly.
A good slider by Bergman.
No, Bergie came back here with an attitude, and I like it. He's a little bit more aggressive, a little bit angrier.
Zimmerman knocks it down. No chance. Base hit, Derek Lee. Well played by Zimmerman, though.
Saved a double.
To hold him to a single, and you never know when a double play ball by the next hitter will end the inning.
Well, he doesn't have great speed. That's the one drawback to Derek Lee's game. He's got decent speed for a big man, but right here, this is a shot. All Zimmerman can do is knock the ball down. If he picks it, it's an out. Right there, he just eats it. But that saves a double.
Ramirez 0 for 2 with a walk, and they'll have to hurry for 2. Gonzalez hurries, and there you go. Ryan Zimmerman knocking the ball down causes the inning to end a lot sooner than it would have. 3 batters in the 8th for Bergman. Well turned by Gonzalez. Bottom of the order coming up. came close to matching him pitch for pitch. And a good inning in the third by Jason Bergman. Now things get a little nastier, Rob Dibble. Here comes Carlos Marmol. And you talk about a guy with a killer breaking ball.
Well, one of the best sliders in the game, also one of the best fastballs. I think he gets a lot of credit for the slider, but he still throws 95, 97 miles an hour with movement. He's a better version or bigger than Leo Nunez of the Florida Marlins.
Oh,
the best way I can put it. But they've felt for the last 2 years running that he should be able to take over the closer's role, and he has yet to step up and do that.
Fastball inside. Nobody on deck yet. Willie Harris probably the #1 candidate. There's that breaking pitch out over the plate, 1-2.
That's not even the good one. The good one's about 92. That's the get me over for a strike breaking ball.
Had him reaching. Look at the spin on that thing. That changed directions twice.
Almost a little bit harder, but still not his hardest slider that he can throw.
Looks like Ronnie Belliard will be coming out. With a man on, it might have been Willie Harris, and it's great to see Pat Corrales back in a Nationals uniform. I love sitting down once or twice a week in the dugout and just talking baseball with that guy who's been there, done that, managed, coached, played, outstanding big league catcher, and a very valuable asset in this organization. Good to have him back in D.C. Pat's favorite thing is going to his little place up in the hills of Georgia and enjoying the view with a cold one on some Sunday evenings, but he's going to put the uniform back on, and look at that, a half-century in baseball.
Oh, a wonderful baseball mind.
Yep.
And nice to have in the dugout once again and in the locker room to motivate these guys. It's funny, I was out with the wife and the family. Bob Boone and Pat Corrales were out at the same restaurant. How about those two?
Oh man,
veteran catchers of the ages.
Can you each tell me a little bit about catching, and then an hour later you could ask your second question?
Yeah, of all the Hall of Famers you two caught,
yeah,
you know, who was the best? Who did the most? And you just hope that the young players listen to them.
Yeah. There's that slider. Belliard, no chance. 2 outs. Get Jarrett on and come out on Tuesdays. We've got another T-shirt Tuesday next week. First 10,000 fans will receive an Adam Dunn. It's a jersey T-shirt presented by Mission. Get hired. 888-632-NATS. Nationals.com or stop by the Nationals Park box office. Now, having said all of this that we have about the start of this half of the season, the schedule isn't exactly your preseason college football schedule where you're beating up on people. Cubs for 4, Mets for 3, St. Louis for 1 before San Diego comes in. $17 of the next 25 at home, and you'd love to see the Nats win 10 or 12 of them. They have to start playing better against the East, and that starts when the Mets get here. 3 more games between now and then with the Cubs. The Nationals have a record against the East of 8-31. Against the Central, they're 6-10, 5-9 against the West, and a respectable 7-11 against the American League.
Well, you have to start playing with a little bit more of a sense of urgency, desperation. I've said this from day one. You have to pitch and play like your job depends on it. And because the way the team played for the first 87, the manager got canned.
Fastball up. Marmol gives the 2-out walk. And I think this is one of Rob's great situations we'll talk about in a moment. as we preview Nats Extra presented by Verizon Fios. Ray will look at John Lannon's night and how Harden was tough on the bats. Stammen, Zambrano tomorrow night, not Scott Olsen. But Rob, you're 26 and 61. It's a 3-1 game. Turn that base runner loose. You don't want him thrown out. I mean, make sure he makes it if you're Niger Morgan. But Nick Johnson has hit 6 home runs in 3.5 months. The odds are he's not going to tie the game with a long ball.
Agreed, and that's a big run out there, but you might as well try some things too to generate offense. Marmol does not have a very quick move to the plate.
They got him.
He does have a quick move over there.
Niger Morgan picked off of first base, and the 8th inning is over. Caught him flat-footed. He was late in reacting. Gone. Couple of mistakes tonight, a base running blunder there, and an error earlier by Zimmerman. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Washington Nationals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals. Julian Tavares, third Nats pitcher. And Rob, he's got some work to do to reverse things here now that the break has come and gone.
Well, as I've said before, some of these players are being scouted for next year by organizations that have holes and weaknesses, and you're going to try it if you're a free agent and get a job somewhere, and they're going to go, well, we watched you last year, and this is what you did. So, you know, you've got roughly 2.5 months to change the opinions of a lot of scouts as to if you want to continue your Major League Baseball career. You know, as you just see Pedro Martinez getting signed by a team. That was one of the toughest competitive pitchers for many years, but the last couple of years, injury riddled, not a guy you could count on to start ball games and get you past the 5th inning. He was without a job for the first 2.5 months of the year.
Outfielder Sam Fuld on deck to hit for Blanco. A lot of left-handers. Kosuke Fukudome. You're looking at Sam Fuld and Mike Fontenot. Soriano got a piece of it. It's a foul ball.
F-Troop.
Jake Fox is the outfielder, the only right-handed batter.
Remember that when we were growing up? F-Troop?
Yeah.
Well, all those F's on the bench. There are 4 of them.
Didn't your dad knew Bob Crane?
Yeah. My dad worked with Bob Crane earlier days in his radio career back in the 50s.
Change up. And it's 3-2 to Soriano, who's 1 for 3.
And gentlemen write me a letter today about my father and the Hartford Civic Center roof collapse years ago. And they
I remember that. Yeah.
Didn't build the Civic Center correctly to withstand the weight of a big winter snow or accumulation thereof, and the roof collapsed. Thankfully, nobody was injured.
I didn't know that when I did 2 NCAA regionals in that building. I'm glad I just found out. 3-2 to Soriano. And he'll take it low and away and walk. Leading off the 9th inning as we check in with Debbie Taylor.
Well, Bob, Ryan Zimmerman has played 521 big league games. We all know what he can do at the hot corner, but I asked him today if he wasn't playing third, what position would he like to play?
I've always wanted to play outfield. I don't know why. I don't know if I'd be any good, but it seems fun to be out there. So, you know, if I could play one game in center field, I don't think I could do very well, but it'd be fun to say you did it.
We'll have to check in with Jim Riggleman on that one, Bob.
Yeah, I don't like his chances against Niger Morgan in that particular department.
Maybe a half inning. I'll tell you a story. At the end of my career and the end of Bill Wegman's career, Phil Garner let him play right field the last game of the year, the last inning. Bill Wegman was ecstatic.
First and third, nobody out, and the Cubs are poised to put this game out of reach against Julian Tavares. So a pinch hit there by Sam Fuld. And evidently he was pinch hitting there for the pitcher. They had it wrong on the scoreboard here. That's a shot. And they had made a double switch. So Blanco is next in the number 9 spot. One ball, one strike to the catcher, Coy Hill, 0 for 2 tonight with a sacrifice. Coy Hill went to that Wichita State program that's produced a lot of good major league players over the years. Eric Wedge, Mike Lansing, Pat Mears, Darren Dreifert. And that's a breaking ball that comes from outside to catch the corner. 1-2. We'll start you at 7 p.m. Well, 7:05 with the first pitch. Johnny and Ray at 6:30 with Nats Extra. Craig Stammen in place of Scott Olson against Carlos Zambrano. Two and two.
The Nationals have used 17 different pitchers in a relief role this season.
Ouch.
A 5.71 earned run average going into the second half of the season.
Didn't take long, like the first series at Florida, to rear its ugly head this year. And Tavares nowhere near the plate after getting ahead.
Well, the alarming thing about Julian is he's got 27 walks now in 34 in the third innings, and that's way too many for a reliever.
With the runner going, a base hit. Soriano scores. Fuld to third, and the Cubs are getting ready to put this one out of reach. It's now 4-1. You know, and Rob, you made an interesting point about pitching as if your career depends on it. Because if you're a guy like Tavares or another pitcher, and by the way, Jim Riggleman comes out with the hook, and if the team with the worst record in baseball doesn't want to bring you back, your credibility with other ball clubs takes a beating.
Yeah. And there's been plenty of opportunities in this bullpen for pitching this year.
So Tavares gone. Riggleman doesn't stay with him long. A walk and 2 hits. Well, maybe that was too long. We'll see if the Nats can put out this. At the moment, they've out-hit the Nats 10-3 and lead 4-1. And Rob, maybe one more time before we embark on this second half voyage to remind us of where this ball club is and how far it needs to go.
Well, and they continue to be last in pitching with the 5-2, but it has come down since Steve McCatty joined as pitching coach to 4.57. So it's down under 4 under Steve McCatty, or under 5 under Steve McCatty. So it's come down a lot. I mean, the starting rotation is just over 4, and that'll go down with Lannon's. So there you see the graphic right there. But they have a long way to go. The hitting has slipped a little bit. The defense is still dead last. And a lot of those categories can be improved upon in the second half. And remember, you're battling for your major league life, and other guys are battling for a spot on this team next year. So you would think there'd be a sense of urgency to go out and prove that I could play this game.
Runner coming home, still time, but he's safe because Sean Burnett booted the ball. I don't know if Sean got in a hurry to try to get a play at home and then maybe a throw to first. That'll be the Nationals' second error of the game. No RBI for the pinch batter Jake Fox.
Well, a bunt back to you. You got to know you may be going home with the ball. And it looked like Sean looked up before he caught it. Seems like a simple thing, but it was just enough to drop, pick up. Fold scores from third. Right there, you see him pick his head up, checking for where the runner was. Still not an out.
2 runs already charged to Tavares. We would love to see just one series this year without an error. Just 3 or 4 games in a row. But it just never happens. 0-2 now to the leadoff man, Reed Johnson. 2 for 4 with an RBI tonight. Still nobody out here in the ninth as the Cubs have built a 5-1 lead.
Well, and I really believe it starts from within that clubhouse. Once again, you look at the Phillies. Their pitching is atrocious. One of their best starters, Brett Myers, is down maybe for the rest of the season with a hip injury, yet they've only made 33 errors in more than, I think it's probably 85 games. And that's because they play ready baseball. I'm not going to be the guy to choke tonight. I'm not going to be the guy to make that error that costs us the game. And that's just the mental approach this team needs to have. And really, it's not up to Jim Riggleman, it's up to the players.
There's another ball that gets away.
And the runners move up.
Wild pitch.
Yeah, 86 games, 33 errors for the Phillies so far this year. #1 in baseball.
He got jammed. Fly ball to Morgan. The runner is Hill, the catcher, not going anywhere. 1 out. And speaking of the Phillies, by the way, they're at Florida tonight. And they lead the Marlins by 4 games in the East. They're ahead 4-0 in the top of the 9th inning, having started Jamie Moyer in that game. And here comes Jim Riggleman. Riggleman spent some time with Tony La Russa in St. Louis. I think you're going to see a manager who looks for matchups, who looks for that little advantage everywhere he can get one. And he's going to keep changing pitchers until he gets this inning going the way he wants. Clippard is the next, with Terrio coming up. After the Phillies signed him to a 1-year, $1 million deal. The All-Star game, well, another close game, another American League win, la-di-da. And the NHL's going outdoors. They've already conquered Wrigley Field. Now they want to go to Fenway, huh?
Yeah, and it's not like it's not too cold at January 1st in Boston.
Well, it can't be any worse in Chicago.
No, the Windy City. So the Flyers, Bruins, boys, put your long johns on.
I bet the Green Monster seats will be good for that one.
That's true.
No wind up there, of course. Here's Ryan Terrio, 1 for 4. Infield in, 2nd and 3rd, 1 out, and a ball drilled to right. Willingham's got it. Runner tagging. Josh played it well, and it's 6-1. So those will be 3 runs charged to Julian Tavares.
Josh Willingham seems to be getting better every game out in right field, Bob.
He is. Well, Josh has too much pride not to. Milton Bradley, the hitter. Probably 2 of these runs will be earned. That ball should have been the 3rd out, were it not for Burnett's boot. And the 0-1. Milton Bradley 0 for 4 tonight. 3 fly balls and a hard hit ball that Guzman took a hit away from him. Another guy disappointingly hitting under 240 for the Cubs. I looked up and down the National League leaders today for batting categories. The only Cub that is even on the sheet is Ryan Theriot with his 32 multi-hit games. We're used to seeing Lee, Ramirez, Soriano in some categories. I think the Cubs lost something when they sent away Mark DeRosa.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Right down the middle. Clippard strikes out Bradley. Nats need a big bottom of the ninth. First up is Nick Johnson, 0 for 3 with an RBI tonight. Ryan Zimmerman controlled by Harden, 0 for 3, couple of Ks. Adam Dunsfan 3. So really the ultimate no pressure situation for a guy like Greg to get a quick inning in. At least that's the way you want it to work out if you're the Cubs. Sam Fuld will stay in and play left field.
What is he, 15? Look at how young that kid looks.
No, he's not that young.
They're getting younger every day, Bob.
No, that's pretty much us going the other way, Rob.
Oh, we're just old.
Nick Johnson 0 for 3 with an RBI ground ball. Nick hits the ball well to left field. Drifting is Fuld right up against the wall. Lou Piniella makes a defensive change and the ball finds his guy. And Pinella's using almost his entire roster tonight.
Oh, he will. The one thing about Lou is he likes a deep bench, likes a veteran deep bench, and he'll go to it early and often. He loves to change outfielders and stuff.
That's his third second baseman tonight. He's used everybody but the slumping Kosuke Fukudome, who's 0 for his last 14. I think there are some Major League ball clubs over the last year or so that are finding out the import business is not real profitable. Ryan Zimmerman, 2 strikeouts and a grounder against Rich Harden, who's in line for his 6th win of the year. That ball driven to right. Will it stay fair? Yes, it will. It's into the bullpen. Now here's an ironic thing for you. Right-handed hitters have hit 2 balls into the bullpen in this ballpark. Ryan Zimmerman, and against the Cubs last year, Will Nieves, also in the 9th inning.
Well, look who's pinch hitting for Dunn. It's Will Nieves. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Ryan Zimmerman right here. Hangs around on that fastball. 92. It's up and away. Ryan Zimmerman laces it right into the bullpen. It looked like it was going to be a bad night for Ryan coming back from St. Louis, and the All-Star hits a home run to start the second half.
Yeah, maybe that gets him going tomorrow against a very tough pitcher, Zambrano. You never know. But that's interesting that in the history of this ballpark, even though it's only 1 season plus 3.5 months, only 2 right-handed batters have gone into that bullpen. 1-1 to Dunn. You have to stay on a ball forever to do that. And for Zimmerman, his 15th of the year, his 101st hit, and his 59th run. RBI number 53. Now this is where Adam Dunn knows the Nats need base runners.
Well, and you said this was a easy game finished outing for Greg. These are some of the toughest for a closer because there's no real adrenaline rush, no urgency to throw strikes, and now he's getting himself in a jam.
So you guys just can't function if you're not living on the edge, huh?
That's why we're so flaky. It's I couldn't figure it out. You know, a lot of pitchers will say 3-run saves are harder to get than 1-run saves, and I kind of believe them because you think you have too much room to maneuver, and you ultimately get yourself into a jam.
And he misses to Josh Willingham.
You know, now he could conceivably just try to find a strike here, and Willingham kills it.
Ball 2.
You know, you're just trying to get one over, and all of a sudden now it's a 3-run ball game.
Kevin Gregg, 16 saves for the Cubs. He had 29 for the Marlins last year, 32 the year before that. But the Marlins, because their attendance is so low, one of those ball clubs, it's almost like as soon as somebody gets good, you can't afford him anymore.
Gets arbitration eligible like Kevin. We got to get rid of him.
2 balls and a strike. Willingham high in the air to right. That'll stay in the park. Milton Bradley, 2 outs. Final hope for the Nationals, Christian Guzman. Well, same result tonight under a different manager. And I know Jim Riggleman wants them to play better than this. We all do. 2 more errors tonight, 84 on the year. And you'd have to consider those unforced errors. Matt Corrales right behind him. And here's Guzman, who's 0 for 3. And a batting average that's in danger of slipping under the 300 mark now. He's at 302.
With the trade deadline looming, I don't foresee this being the same team you see today 3 weeks from now. There are some very good players that play for the Nationals. There's a lot of teams in need of help. You're rebuilding, and there's some free agents like a Nick Johnson. He may not be here in 3 weeks.
Guzman drills it to center. Game over. Right around 2 hours and 40 minutes for Jim Riggleman's debut to result in a 6-2 loss to the Cubs. For Rob Dibble and Debbie Taylor, Bob Carpenter, final score Chicago 6, Washington 2. Join us tomorrow, Mass in HD. Nats continue the series